This is your division. What are you seeing on this fight?
I think Vergil trying a little bit too hard. You know, he's rushing his shots and he's loading up on a lot of shots. I think if he uses jab, go to the body, he can get this guy out of there.
If you're Michael McKinson, is there anything you can do to turn the tide?
Well, we know he's not no puncher. He got to use his feet, use his angles, and box like he was boxing in the first couple of rounds, take a little chances, because he landed shots. It's just not hard.
Thanks, Terence.
That was boxing pound for pound #1 Terence Bud Crawford, pointing out some of the flaws he saw in Vergil Ortiz's game against McKinson, where he stated Vergil is throwing majority of his shots with power. In other words, Vergil is not setting up his offense. He's not throwing up setup shots like a touch jab or even a snappy punch where he's not putting a lot of steam behind it. Everything he does, everything he throws is with bad intentions. Now, against D and C level fighters, that's gonna work. However, when you do step up in competition, that's where Vergil will have to improve in that department, because if not, he will suffer a loss without a doubt. And it's not even gonna take a Jaron Ennis, Crawford, or an Errol Spence to do the job. Even a fighter like Conor Benn or Danny Garcia can get the job done. Furthermore, just to be clear, Vergil Ortiz is not the only fighter that's making this mistake of loading up with every single shot he throws. Canelo Alvarez is also another fighter that's making that mistake. Ironically, even Bivol said the same thing about Canelo that Crawford said about Vergil. Bivol said that Canelo loads up with every single shot. Every single punch he throws is a power shot. Bivol was pointing out how Canelo doesn't set up his offense and is so easy to read, which that's the same flaw Vergil is making today. Another flaw was how easily Vergil Ortiz was getting hit with every single thing, with everything in the kitchen sink by McKinson. Recently, I actually posted Frank Martin versus Vergil Ortiz amateur fight, where Frank Martin beat Vergil and also knocked him down in the process of beating him. For the people that don't know Frank Martin, that's Errol Spence prodigy. Now, I had all of these Vergil Ortiz fans that were in the comment section stating things like, "Oh man, that was such a long time ago. It will be a different fight today." Vergil Ortiz improved so much. He's a different fighter today. And while I was watching the McKinson fight, I'm trying to figure out, where did he improve? Because his defense definitely did not improve much since he was getting hit at will. You could tell that Vergil Ortiz is not comfortable fighting southpaws, since McKinson was pretty much hitting him at will with the same shots Frank Martin was catching him with years ago. The only difference was Frank Martin actually has power, while McKinson, he only has 2 knockouts on his entire career. I repeat, McKinson has more than 20 fights. However, he only has two knockout wins on his record. Therefore, his power is non-existent. Now, if that was Crawford or Jaron Ennis hitting Vergil Ortiz with them same shots that McKinson landed, and we all know McKinson is way slower than Crawford and Ennis. So if McKinson could hit Vergil, you can just imagine what Crawford and Ennis can do. However, for the sake of argument, let's just say Crawford and Ennis landed the same shots on Vergil that McKinson did. Both Crawford and Ennis will knock Vergil Ortiz out, without a doubt. That we all can agree with, which explains why Vergil Ortiz, instead of stepping up in competition, he's actually stepping down in competition. He went from fighting Mean Machine to McKinson, a fighter with 2 knockouts on his record. Clearly, Vergil Ortiz still has his training wheels on when it comes to fighting southpaws especially. And the bad news for Vergil Ortiz is that all of the best fighters in the welterweight division, the top tier, are all southpaws, from Jaron Ennis to Crawford to Errol Spence, where none of them have 2 knockouts on their record. Well, for the people that questioned why I posted Frank Martin knocking down Vergil Ortiz. I mean, it don't take a genius to figure that out. It's the same reason all of the media outlets posted Lubin knocking down Berlanga in sparring. Why none of you guys questioned that? The reason why we posted it, because it was impressive seeing Lubin knocking down Berlanga. Lubin was 2 weight divisions smaller than Berlanga, and Berlanga was the monster. He was knocking everyone out. He had all of the hype, just like Vergil Ortiz today. He has all of the hype. And ironically, Frank Martin is 2 divisions smaller than him today. Furthermore, Sergio Mora is telling Vergil Ortiz to continue avoiding Crawford. I kid you not. Check it out.
What I think makes no difference, but to answer your question, I would say stay away right now. There's so much money to make. He's packing the crowd. He's becoming an attraction here in Texas. Soak that up. That's how you build a star. And this kid has the power. He has the following. He has the team to be a star.
God,
what's the rush?
You are the absolute worst. You know that? Because in 4 years working together, I don't think you've ever said you want to see a big fight.
And that's why I'm still here, because longevity means more than the big fights at that time.
First of all, Sergio Mora said, Vergil is becoming an attraction. Soak that up. In other words, milk the cow. That's the era we living in today. Instead of becoming an attraction by going out there fighting the best like Crawford, Sergio Mora wants Vergil to continue ducking the best in order to maintain his little attraction, because he knows Crawford will end his little attraction. Second of all, Sergio Mora said that Vergil Ortiz is not ready, even though he's 25 years old and he has 19 fights with 19 KOs. So if he's not going to be ready today, he will never be ready. But that's just a nice way to say he could never beat Crawford. He could never F with Crawford. That's the truth. That's the nice way of saying that. You have Muhammad Ali, who beat Sonny Liston when he was 22 years old. You have Mike Tyson, who became undisputed, the baddest man on the planet at 21 years old. You have Devin Haney, who's undisputed at 23 years old and challenged to fight Lomachenko at 20 years old. You have Benavidez, who's calling out everyone, the boogeyman. And he won a world title when he was 20 years old. So what do you mean he's not ready? And he's already 25 years old with 19 KOs on his record. When you look at a guy like Benavidez, he only had like 15 amateur fights, way less than Vergil Ortiz. Even then, he still became a champion at 20 years old. And today he's 25. Do you hear Benavidez say, I'm not ready for so-and-so? Absolutely not. Do you hear the 23 years old undisputed champion Devin Haney say, I'm not ready for so-and-so? Do you ever hear the unified champion Shakur Stevenson, who's 24 years old, say he's not ready? Absolutely not. But you have Vergil say, I don't care if I'm ready or not, when he was asked about fighting Crawford. Then proceeded to apologize to Crawford for calling him out. He said, you know how the game goes. I was just answering the question. Like, what? Who says that? Do you want to fight Crawford or you want to be his friend? Which is clear as day. Vergil doesn't want the smoke with Crawford. He's just clout chasing his name, the way Ryan Garcia does with Tank. With the facts being laid out, drop your thoughts in the comment section below, subscribe below, and click on the notification bell to be continued on the next episode of Akhi, TV. Peace. And I'm on to the next one.